Program on the line with us, Professor Richard Wolff, the economist, the co-founder of democracyatwork.info, the author of numerous books, including The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself, now available as an ebook. Also the host of Economic Update with Professor Richard Wolff right here on Free Speech TV, democracyatwork.info, Prof. Wolff on Twitter. Professor Wolff, I'm reading, this was from the Daily Pfennig today, but I've seen this in other places as well, this speculation that Saudi Arabia might join the Brics nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and that these nations are working as hard as they can to get off the dollar, basically, to go to an alternative currency, whether it's the euro or whether it's a basket of currencies. Saudi Arabia has really been playing with fire with regard to this. What might happen if that were to happen? Could it shift oil off the dollar, and what would the result of that be for the United States and the world?
Okay, the BRICS is in no way a secret organization or one that is trying to hide from a notoriety. I obviously don't know what they might be doing privately, but they've been around now for quite a few years. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they have attracted growing attention. Saudi Arabia is not the only country where there's a rumor. At this point, there's not much more than a rumor that they are applying for or intending to apply for inclusion in the BRICS. Other countries mentioned alongside: Turkey, Argentina, Mexico, and still others. What you're seeing really should be understood in the context of the decline of what really has to be called the American empire. We came out of World War II, the only real powerful economic unity that still was intact, that hadn't been devastated by war, which Western Europe, Russia, China, Japan all had. And we occupied this absolutely dominant king of the hill kind of position. And that could only really go in one direction, and that was down. And it's been remarkable in many ways that it has lasted as long as it did, pretty much the second half of the 20th century. Now really beginning to show wear and tear and decline. We had not in the picture at the end of World War II the People's Republic of China. That has come the farthest, the fastest to change everybody's calculation. It makes the BRICS a much more powerful reality than it would be if China were not part of it. And so I think that to answer your question, the dollar being the global currency of record, the currency most people want to have in their account if they hold more than their own currency, the currency used as backup, as reserves in central banks around the world to show that you can deal in their currency, because if push came to shove, you could always change that currency into the dollars that they possess. It means, if you want to be simple about it, that we can ship to the rest of the world dollars with which we buy raw materials, food, technology, whatever it is we buy. We get real work done by people, valuable output, and we just give them little green pieces of paper called dollars, with which they can either sit there literally holding the dollars, which some of them do for a good bit of it, or they lend it to the United States government to hold U.S. treasuries, which gets you the bizarre result that foreigners are lending money so that the United States can pursue a foreign policy with which those countries often disagree. As, for example, China disagrees with us, but holds an enormous amount of its dollar wealth in the form of U.S. treasuries. What's happening is that we're about to lose that privilege. BRICS is not the only force in the world trying to do this. There are others who have their own reasons. But what they're all doing is looking for something that's an alternative. Probably won't be the euro because that has its own problems, especially now. More likely, it would be a basket of currencies. It may even be a new invented electronic currency. They're all playing with crypto in order to make the thing work better for them and make it less of a gain for the United States. They've wanted to do that for a long time. One of the things it'll do is it'll mean that oil won't be priced anymore in dollars as it has been. Although recently, because of Ukraine and so on, a number of countries, Iran, Russia, China, and others, have begun dealing in oil anyway, in other currencies, their own or third currencies. So you're beginning to see the erosion of the dominant position of the United States coming at it from all sides, including people that are political allies and people that are political adversaries. I think what Americans have to do, and have hesitated, is to understand that in this century, the American empire is in decline. I don't know the future any better than anyone else, but I know that we have to face the fact that little changes at the expense of the United States are going to come. They're coming, they keep coming, they are enlarged by the Ukraine experience, and they're going faster because of it, and there are going to be adjustments. And much of what happens in the United States economy, whether we acknowledge it or not, is a struggle over who is going to suffer in this process. Who's going to lose out inside the United States as we struggle one with the other is an important consequence at home of the declining position globally.